Welcome to another week of my workshop journey, and this is going to be the last one that I do for a little while because I've got quite a few jobs I have to do in the house. They won't wait any longer. But we come to continuing to glue up my project. I'm just about to take the clamps off the long sides of the box that I was gluing up last time, and we'll see whether the glue's actually taken. Hopefully it should have done, and then I'll be gluing the rest of the box up. So this is the first of the long sides. I'm looking forward to this. There we go. Just move that out of the way for a minute. Remove the clamps. And this is another of the problems that I'm going to have to solve at some time. This has come from part of the dust extraction system up here. It's a very loose fit, and so I've tried to use some gaffer tape to hold it on, but it keeps coming off. Never mind, we'll get to that in due course. Here we go then. That's one of the sides that we glued up last time, and I'm very pleased with the result. There's a little bit of a bump where the rail and legs, the joint is a little bit out, but nothing that a bit of sanding won't take care of. And inside, again, very little glue seepage around here, a little bit just here, but nothing too serious, so that's a good one. And the second side, I'm very pleased with the result, and everything has glued up nice and square, so that's an added bonus. Okay, so the gluing up went very nicely. All I've got to do now is make sure these slots for the bottom table are the right size. There's a little bit of cleanup inside that I want to do before I do anything else, and then I can start gluing up by putting the two sides in. So I know this is one of the blunt chisels that I tried using last week, but for what I want to do this afternoon, it's going to be fine. When I cut these, I was using the 8mm mortise chisel, and it's left quite a rough base, and I just want to tidy that up a little bit, because then the table is going to fit in and be that little bit better fit. So just a case of making sure it's smoothed down roughly. I had toyed with the idea of perhaps using a 6mm router cutter just to skim the bottom, but I decided against that in the end. The idea behind this is just to take some of the high spots off the base of the slot. There we go. And there you notice that's relatively clean now. Right, do the second side. There we go, that's tied it up nicely. So I just want to make sure that these slats go into the slots properly. And that there's plenty of depth to them. So I'm just going to mark where they are very lightly and see whether there's enough depth to them. Right, so that one is 10mm. That one's 11 and 10. So is that sufficient? 12. 12, yes. So it can't be going down quite far enough in the corner, so I'm just going to make sure that's nice and clear. And I'm just going to use this little bradawl just to make sure everything's out of the corner. So just to make sure again, that should go below that mark. It does, that's good. Because these are only going to be loosely fitted, they're not going to be glued at all. Good, that's that one done. Let me have a look at the second end. And again, I noticed there's a little bit in the corners here. So, that one's a little on the tight side because it's a little too narrow, or not long enough I should say. But let's have a look at this. That's 12. 11. 11. And 10. And I measured them all to be going in by about 10 millimeters. That's 12, 12, 12, 12. So I've got plenty of depth. That should pull together nicely. Yep, I'm happy with that. Right, brush, glue, and as I said in the previous video, what I'm intending to do is put plenty of glue in the mortise. That way it's going to fill in any gaps that are there and hold these long rails in place at the same time. make sure everything is at hand. So E is going to be that way. So panel, and I have noticed it has started to fill in at this end, so I'm just going to grab something to get. So what I've done, I've just used a scrap piece of wood just to clear this channel of glue, so that the panel doesn't collect any sticky. One side, never mind. Right, so that's that. The next one is do that one, and then I can lay the other long side on top. These won't, the glue won't go off that quickly before I've done this bit. Well, that's what I'm hoping anyway. Right, let me just get the base, slip that in there, and then I can start making sure everything is nice and square. That should be fine. It's not quite gone in, you might see down here, but it has gone in on both sides. That's what I was concerned about last week. So that's okay. Right, let's start checking for square. That's nice. Initial indications are everything is nice and square. Good. I am exceptionally pleased with that. Right. Now the next thing is the other set of legs. Now then, do I put it on like that. I can do, that's going to be the easier by way of manoeuvring this, but if I do that, the glue that I put in here is just going to drip. I would prefer to put the glue like that. Which would mean lifting this whole assembly up. I can do that. That's what I would prefer, because I want to make sure that I don't lose glue. So, right, let me find somewhere just to put this on a temporary basis. It is fairly heavy like this. Right, and I must not forget, I am also putting those in. Okay, so this is going to be a case of putting the glue in all 6 mortises, then putting those slats in, then lifting the rest of the unit on and putting it in. Once I've done that, then I can continue to check for square. I know this might be quite tedious for you to be watching. You might find it very irritating, but for me, I'm finding it very useful to talk it through with myself. Right. One, 2, 3, and 4. Right, this is the moment of truth. Right, time for the clamps, just to start easing things together. Oops, wrong way. Those slats are in as well. That's that one. Problem I have at the moment is drawing that piece together because of this base. So let me, because that is just springing straight out at the moment. So let me, I'll pop it on the floor, I'll release the clamps and pop it all on the floor. base is a little loose in this corner here. That's solvable after I've finished the glue process, but everything feels nice and steady and square. Let me just make sure. Yes, that is a little out. That one, those two are square. It's this that is out slightly. Not a lot. But there's very little glue seepage that I can see. These bottom rails down here, those are nice and square. There's a little bit out on the top, but that might be because of where the mortises are. This corner is a little prouder than the rest, so, but I'm happy with that. Let me just clamp the bottom up and then we can take a break. So as with last week, scrap pieces of wood. And again, as I mentioned last week, this is a difficulty with these clamps. Trying to do them two-handed is difficult enough. Now I've noticed down here some of the glue has seeped from this joint here down the leg, so just wipe that out before it has chance to dry. There's a little bit on this leg here, but all in all I haven't had much glue seepage, which is ever so nice to see. I don't think I've ever had so little seep. Just check the other side. Excellent. Just one final check with the square. Oh, I'm chuffed with that. I am, honestly. I've never had so much success at really the first attempt. That's fine. That's as far as I'm going with that at the moment. So let me just move it out of the way slightly. And we've earned a break. So after a nice refreshing cup of tea, the workpiece is now gluing and drying nicely. So I'm going to leave that like that for some time. It'll probably be now several weeks before I come back to this. By that time I know it will be nice and solid, but that's as far as I'm going with the main project at the moment, and I really don't have the time now to make any more progress on my next step. As I mentioned last time, the next step will be to do something about the lid of the project, and because of the miscutting of the base, then I'm going to have to give some thought to how I support that as well. But I'm very pleased with the way that the whole thing's gone, and yeah, leave that to continue gluing. I'll probably come to it tomorrow because it's going to be so long before I get back to the project. I'm not sure whether to just leave it in the clamps or to come back tomorrow and release the clamps, but I'll think about that at some other time. But thanks ever so much for watching. Sorry about the pause that's going to come, but we will get back to this after I've got round all of the jobs at home, and I'll see you next time.